Hello there, people of the universe. My name is Mike Spy, and welcome to some horror stories from Reddit. Now, I don't know if this is going to become a series, a one-off thing. Honestly, I don't know. I was speaking to my girlfriend about ideas because I'm feeling fucking emptier than an orphanage after a rapist turned up, and she suggested, you know what, because I said this and she said it could be fun, and if that joke is anything to go by, this is going to be great. So, up first we have, I found a dude under my mum's bed, which, considering the bed I use is my mum's old one, this should scare the living fuckery out of me, but my bed is one of those where there'll be a picture on screen, it has drawers under, so if there is some cunt underneath, you'd have to be thinner than me, because how the fuck did you get under there? Never mind that, how are you going to get out? The worst thing under my bed is dust. And a big spider, but I killed that motherfucker. Anyway, a friend introduced me to this Reddit, and I decided to share one of the most scarring encounters I have ever experienced. I'm not that old, but I've had a few. Please excuse any spelling or grammar mistakes, as I'm not a native speaker. I will say as well, guys, I'm going to speak slowly and articulately so you can understand what I'm saying, because I know sometimes I mumble, so just please bear with me. So, this took place in July, so almost 2 months ago. My family rented this nice one-storey house in the outskirts of a sea town, and since it was on the side of a huge hill, we got a breathtaking sight of the sea. The house was a bit isolated from the other buildings of the residential area, since it was not directly on the street, but surrounded by trees. The master bedroom was quite small, with the king-size bed at the centre and a big closet in front of it. The window directly on the backyard. The backyard, where we hung our clothes to dry, had a ridiculously low and easy to climb fence, which went directly into the woods. When my brothers were there, we would climb out of the window and into the woods just to feel like kids again. I'm glad that didn't say feel kids again, because that would be a very fucking weird story. It was really hot, which I can't stand, so I always left every window open to let a nice draft in. I know I'm naive, but I did it only during the day in broad daylight and with other people at home. Wise decision. For me, sorry to keep interrupting, it's just, I'm enjoying this so far. For me, at night when I have my window open only a crack, even then it still freaks me out if I hear one noise. If I hear one noise, I will shoot up and grab my bow. That's not a lie, that's the truth, okay. My brothers and dad couldn't be there because they had to work during weekdays, so it was just me and my mum. My grandma instead stayed in a hotel in the centre of the town. I was on my period for a whole week and I didn't feel like going to the beach, so my mum, just because you're 18 and you're an adult now, agreed to leave me home alone so that she could go with my grandma. Of course, I didn't want to stay alone, so I called a close friend of mine, almost boyfriend to be honest. Yeah, he's almost at the friend zone, who happened to stay in that same town for the holidays. We'll call him Ray, okay? So he came over, bringing some weed, and I was really excited to try it, since I'd never smoked weed or pot or anything like that. We were staying on the balcony, enjoying our smoke and the view, chatting quietly when I heard a soft crashing sound as if someone fell on one of the many carpets we had there. When I mentioned it, Ray laughed it off, saying that I'm hearing things and that's normal with drugs, but I was pretty sure of my hearing, which never fails, and it's exceedingly good, I gotta say. So he replied, maybe it's just your cat. We both knew I couldn't bring my cat on vacation with me and that it had to stay at hometown, but we searched for it anyway, laughing like idiots. Ray opened the kitchen cupboards, screaming, I'ma find that little shit way before you. I went into the master bedroom and opened the closet, giggling something like, hey kitty, come out now, stop hiding. Then I kneeled and looked under the bed. There was a dude laying on the ground and staring at me wide-eyed. Fucking hell. I'm pretty sure time stopped, as well as my heart. I have no fucking idea what kept me from screaming at the top of my lungs, but I got up, padded out of the room and shut the door behind me. My mind was trying to process what I'd just seen. I'd never let go of the handle. I think my knuckles turned white at some point. Ray padded over, giggling, but he went dead serious as he looked at me. I told him there was a guy under Mum's bed. He thought I was hallucinating and tried to joke about it, but I grabbed my phone and dialed my mum's number. Later on, he told me he had understood I was serious, only when he saw my hands shaking like bitches and my fingers having a hard time dialing. When my mum picked up, I sounded so cold and controlled that it gives me chills whenever I think about it. I told her I was with Ray and that we had found an intruder. My mum arrived in the... I fucking heard a noise then. Don't even fucking do that. My mum arrived in the span of 5 minutes, I think, and not much after her, the cops arrived too. I think she called them because me and Ray stayed still in front of that door in silence. It was agony. They didn't find anyone, of course. My mum noticed a pair of panties missing from the clothes hanging outside. Oof. But aside from that, there was no sign of intrusion. The cops had a hard time believing us because of the smell of weed. Of course, Mum gave me a huge scold about that, and so she should. We never heard from them about the case. I'm sure I wasn't hallucinating because he was there and I remember every single detail of his face and how he held his breath. Me and Ray jokes about it sometimes, but I'm pretty sure he's creeped out too. Needless to say, I don't keep windows open anymore if there isn't any screening. If there isn't any... Wait, what? Okay. So, weird dude hiding under my mum's bed. Let's not meet. Honestly, with something like that, like I've never... What she said at the beginning, I'm presuming this is a she, unless it was a... Yeah, it said it was a she. Said about how she's not had many... Where was it? Not had many scarring experiences, encounters. Neither have I. I've never had anything like this, and I don't fucking want it. Uncle Jimmy, don't go hiding in my fucking closet. See, when I'm asleep in the night, because I don't have a nightlight anymore. I used to, don't judge, but I'm not scared of the dark anymore, contrary to what Doctor Who would make you believe. But the only things I can see, because you know when your eyes adjust to the darkness, I can see the silhouette of my tenant. And Series 7B coats, but because I know what they are, the Tenant one especially looks scarier, it's just there, but because I know it's like it's a beacon of the Doctor, doesn't freak me out. But the reason this relates is because that's the scariest thing I have at night. But with something like this, and on the drugs, I can understand if she thought she was hallucinating, but then again, if you can remember vivid details of someone's face, like all the wrinkles, maybe, I don't know, that wasn't the scariest of ones, but it was a nice start. Okay, so next one. Don't intervene when someone needs help. Wait, don't you mean do intervene? Okay. I doubt this story is anything compared to what's usually on this sub, but there are people I definitely do not want to meet again. Also, excuse any English mistakes because it's almost 4 AM here and I'm not a native speaker. It's currently 10 to 2 AM here. Well, 1:49, but you get the point. A little bit before Christmas in 2015, my now ex and I moved about 12 kilometers away from the city we had been previously living in, to a house that we could rent cheaper, which was near the area I grew up in, without having to communicate too far for work. In doing so, the cheaper rented accommodation was in a slightly dubious area and we should have known better. We move in besides a couple who had a little boy, and from the first night we moved in, we could hear them arguing, and what sounded like her being beaten and strangled in between screaming. My ex runs out and knocks on the door to see if her and the child were okay. Bad move. He was met with a very hostile reaction from the man, getting up in his face saying he needs to mind his own fucking business. The woman told him to get off her front porch or they'll make him get off of it. Blah blah. My ex just comes back inside and is like, what the fuck? Okay. We quickly realise their home is a drug den, with multiple rough zombie looking folks going through their door on the daily, some of whom I recognised from over the years of us being teenage stoners, many of whom did not like me, nor my ex, or the petty young drama from years gone by. Fast forward a fortnight or so, with the screaming and violence going on most days and nights. Wait, it was a drug den and they had a child. Okay. And I drive home from work one evening to find 2 rubbish bins in the driveway that didn't belong to us. Oh god, I know where this is going. I presume they belong to the neighbours, so I wheel them over to the front of their house. My ex gets back a little after me and finds the bins at the front door and asks what they're doing there, and I tell them they had been there earlier too. He wheels them over to the neighbour door, we go away for a couple of hours and come back to find the bins back in our driveway yet again. So this time we both go over and knock on the neighbour's door asking what the fuck they are doing with their bins. And the man comes out saying, what the fuck little game do you two think you're playing at, taking off fucking bins? You have no idea who you're messing around with. Nobody takes my property and questions me about it. Watch your back, etc. And goes back inside. Our houses were attached, so we could hear loud and obviously aggressive talking going on, presumably about us, to whoever else was in the house at the time. A few of the men shone lights in our windows and stood outside our house, looking up and banging at the windows, and from inside their house walls all night until at some point we must have given up worrying about it and fallen asleep. I could never fall asleep with that kind of fucking racket. The next night at about 9:30 p.m, I hear a lot of commotion outside and someone pounding hard on the door. I open the door and 3 men are standing there shouting at me, and the guy from next door saying, "Where's your boyfriend? What did I tell you about stealing from me? You took our coal." At this point, my boyfriend, who was in the shower upstairs, is coming downstairs in a bathrobe. I'm obviously saying and pretty much laughing, "Why on earth would we take a bag of coal? You cannot possibly be fucking serious." And he's all, "Oh yeah, what's that in your back garden, huh?" And I go through to the back garden, and sure enough, there's a bag of coal lying there. I say, "You obviously fucking planted it there." My boyfriend starts shouting, "Get a life, leave us alone. I can see what you're trying to do, just fuck off." Shuts the door and locks it and throws the bag of coal back over the fence to their garden. Multiple people from the house then once again begin to shine lights to intimidate us into the front and back windows at the back of our houses. Front and back windows. At the back of our houses there was a little hill so you could see straight in from the back for the next maybe half an hour or so. Unless the floodlight was a bat symbol, I wouldn't give two flying fucks. The woman who lived next door obviously returned from wherever she had been, and we can hear her voice booming from outside, screaming something along the lines of, "Come outside here!" Screaming something along the lines of, "Come outside here, I'm going to kill you," and saying, put in the windows now!" My boyfriend angrily unlocks and opens the door, and a bunch of guys force their way in and pull him out of the house. 4 of the guys jump in and start beating him. Others smash my car windows, slash my tyres and put in the front windows of our house. Jesus. The women sent out a younger scumbag girl to attack me, but thankfully the girl was a lanky twig like me and kind of gave up after I was clawing at her aimlessly, whilst hysterically screaming and crying at what they were doing to my boyfriend. The quite elderly couple who lived in the house next to theirs had thankfully called the police, and after they arrived an ambulance was called for my boyfriend, who was taken to the hospital. And after talking to the police, what I could gather is that they had broken the handle off their back door, smashed the glass on the door, messed up their entire kitchen, and said that my boyfriend had broken in and was violent towards their child and hurt him, stole money and other shit from out their house, then took their bag of coal and left it laying in our garden. All I could think of was, so my boyfriend supposedly did all this, while a bunch of men are all in the house, just sitting around while this is happening? I called our landlord, who arrived pretty much immediately after I called. At this point it's pretty late at night, and he brings his son and brother with him, who are basically standing guard, and he told me that he had so many problems with these people before. Thanks for the heads up, and people often move out early because of them. Then why don't you kick them out then? That the guy and the woman had lengthy criminal records, and that their own landlord is literally scared to force them out because of the threats he had received from them in the past. Okay, sorry. And that they have threatened the older couple who lived beside them too. Fucking hell. My landlord and his family helped me bag every single thing we own up, clears the place and makes the multiple runs with me and all of our stuff back to a friend's place that we would have stayed with temporarily. Sweet Jesus. The next morning he returned our deposit and also gave me the month's rent we had paid back, saying I would need it to sort out the windows of my car, etc., which he had removed from the driveway and taken to my friend's place. It's good of him. At least the landlord was nice. They had broken my boyfriend's nose, which he needed surgery for, but other than that he was thankfully just very battered and bruised with a swollen face and black eyes. We were harassed by them and their friends on Facebook for a few weeks following the incident, and they even put up statuses about us on Facebook saying all the awful things my boyfriend had done to them. They had taken pictures of us at some point too, because they had attached pictures of us to the statuses to alert people as to what we look like. Be careful of these people, making themselves out to be the victim. We were easily more than a decade younger than them. Anyway, fast forward to today, and the guy is locked up for something or other. Their child is in care, thank goodness. The poor little guy looks so uncared for, pale and sad. And I don't know what she is up to other than uploading Shrek-looking selfies to the Okay, that was funny. I know this isn't a creepy story, but scumbag insane neighbours who attacked us for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Let's not meet again. It's not necessarily a creepy story, but fucking hell. Like, all this couple did was try to intervene in domestic violence. Because there's so many stories where that's going on and then neighbours don't intervene because they're worried it could be something that could be solved very easily. Sadly though, there's a lot of instances where the solvation of it, if that's a word, it is now, the solving of these scenarios is someone gets murdered. Like, Oh my god, I think we're going to leave this here now. I have got 2 more stories left, but I think I'm going to... I'll read one more short one. Some creep in a car wanted me to get in. Okay, last one, then we're going to wrap this up. So, I was going back home from a party that I had set up for a friend of mine, and I decided to walk home. 10, 15-minute walk. I was near my home when I saw a really nice car stop next to me. I look at it, and then move on. But then I realised, the car is following me. I was 16 and I was pretty strong, so I decided I'll confront the person in the car. He opens the window and I see a bold, muscular man. Not all. He just stares at me for a couple of seconds until I shout if he's going to talk or not. He laughs and then asks if I go, insert school here, school name here. I was shocked because it was the school I went to, so I thought he's someone who's graduated from there, so I say that it's my school. And before I could ask him anything, he said that he studied there, so I just say, nice. He then, for some reason, asked me if I watched pornography. Whoa! Exactly like that. So I just say no. And then he tells me to enter his car. That's when things got creepy. Way too fast. I told him that if he's asking me to get in for a fun time, then this isn't the right way to ask someone that unless you're a creep and that I'm not gay. Wait. Oh, so it's a guy. Then this isn't the right way to ask someone that unless you're a creep and that I'm not gay. Oh, yeah. He then just agrees and drives away. I'd say, well, no, even if the person you asked this is gay, doesn't mean it's any less fucking weird. I take a right and see his car again next to me. Even though I'm pretty sure he took a left, he looks at me and says, we're probably going to the same place. How about you get in and I'll take you there? I then started to get angry because I really don't want to see this guy, so I just shout that I'll probably mess his car up if he doesn't fuck off, and I grabbed a rock. He then got out of the car and said that he just wants some company and that I'm not going to throw the rock at the car. He was taller than me and he started to get near me, so without hesitation I threw the rock at his face and ran away. He didn't follow me, but sometimes I feel like he's watching me whenever I get near that place. One of the shortest stories I've read today, but that is definitely one of the creepiest. Because I think one of the strangest encounters I've had was when I was younger. It's not even that scary. Well, for someone of my age, yeah, I was about 14. I know it doesn't really seem. I mean, there's 14-year-olds in these stories going to fucking parties, having weed and having a gangbang. But the point I'm making is that I was having a run around in my first tenant suit. It always relates to the doctor, doesn't it? Just having a laugh. I think I was doing a makeup test for the end of time, so I did have fake blood on my face. Or maybe it was after. I think it was during, but go with me here. And I was just having a run around the estate where I live, and I walked past the car, and I looked into the window, and it was obvious what I was doing. I wasn't fucking burgling. I didn't have the Sonic out, which if I did, I could understand. But I basically just did this to my tie. And then some bold cunt, it might be this guy, comes up. He doesn't offer me sex, unfortunately. But no, instead, he grabs me. He tries to grab me. He tries to grab me by the arm. I back up. No, none of this is a lie, by the way. I could probably word it a bit better and a bit more intimidating. But no, he tries to grab my arm. I back up and say, whoa, what do you think you're doing? He says, what are you doing breaking into cars? I'm like, I wasn't. I sound tough now, but I was scared. I was like, I wasn't. He goes, what's your name? And I know you're going to laugh at me for this, but my mum and people at school, like teachers, they've always said, if anything like this happens on any caliber, you don't give them your real name. For example, how they said, oh, that is the school. Just because they guessed right, just say, no, I've not heard of that state, I've not heard of that school. Even if it's in your province, jurisdiction, because here in the UK, like basically there's a school close to where I live, but that isn't the secondary school I went to. I went to one further away. I don't know what the word's called. Province? I don't know what the word is. It'll come to me in a minute, probably after I've finished recording this. But I basically said, I'm the doctor. And he said, I'm calling the police. So he got his phone out and he said, wait there, I'm calling. He said, I don't care what you're doing. I'm calling. I can't remember the exact words, but he basically said, I don't care what you're doing. Which makes no sense, I admit, but that is what he said. Something along the lines of, I don't care what you're doing, I'm calling the police. So when he turned around, I fucking ran. I ran as fast as my Converse could carry me. I didn't have a coat on, so it wasn't blowing behind me, but I do remember when I was running up the road and then turned into a little, it's like there was bushes here, and it was like a little path, and then there was, so like this is where I was running. I came up, turned here, and then there were houses behind me, and then bushes there, so it was like a little walkway. If you know where I live, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it was like gaps in between. You'll know what I mean if you know where I live. And I fucking ran down that, and I'm pretty sure I heard him running after me, saying something along the lines of "Stop, you little shit." But I did not stop running. I have never ran faster in my life. So I from where I started, I ran along, and then I went up to the village. I was going in that direction, but I went across the road, and then where there was another bush bit where the houses were, there was another one of these things, and I ran through that, and then I ran down the field of where I live. I think you've seen it in videos. It was where me and Mr. Raw stopped at the end of 50 Years of Fail. I ran down that field and back to my house. And yeah, admittedly not the scariest story in my life, but hey, it fucking freaked 14-year-old me out, or 12, whatever I said. But no, I'm going to leave this video here. I really enjoyed this. I'm worried this is going to be in no way entertaining, because it was just me reading things. But some people might just whack it on whilst you're falling asleep just to listen to it. But hopefully some of the stories were at least chilling. They definitely freaked me out. There are scarier ones I've listened to, and if there is anyone out there who has links to subreddits of scarier stories, or you've got scary stories yourself, what you want to see me read in another video of this, then please let me know, because I could definitely consider doing this as a series, but it depends if people will actually enjoy it. But anyway, please let me know what you thought, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please don't leave a like and a comment, and of course share with your friends, as it really does help with the channel. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, I'll see you guys back here next time. Bye.